how can we better communicate through story what the data is saying? And because we haven't done that, we've failed to be interesting. Honestly, we're not novel or new, or and it's very difficult to get into these business executive level conversations talking again about mathematical models and formulas. Like, that's not what they're interested in. They're interested in, well, how is this data going to help me better understand my customer so we can create better experiences for them? And when we get caught up in our kind of craft of, well, let me tell you about this calculation I made, we lost them.
Mhm.
And so I think we have a lot of catching up to do to use story as a way to better communicate what it is that we do.
Well, what it does, right, is it's that common language that anybody can speak, right? Everyone has watched film and television, and I mean, story is hardwired into our nature. So it is that common language from marketers or brands or data analysts. We can speak in those same terms. And what's interesting about the data is I see it going, in two different directions. Either using and harnessing data and finding story in the data, right, to help inform a brand or anyone's journey. What is the story that we're being told that our audience and our consumers are telling us, et cetera? Or a brand that has a story using data to reaffirm and prove or disprove some of those hypotheses, right? But it's the great equalizer. So it's not just something to, manufacture a story that sounds good. To have substance and, quite frankly, the proof and authenticity to back it up, you've got to have the data. And I think that's what gives you all, quite frankly, that, that double-edged sword. Call people's bluff on it, or show them that there is a slightly different nuanced take on what their hypothesis is thinking and telling them.
Yeah, and unless we're invited into the room to have that conversation, we don't even have that opportunity. And so getting that common language, I think that's the right term to think about, enables us that opportunity to have that conversation, and then to use story to better explain and talk about what the data is actually saying. And again, it's such a powerful tool that we've unfortunately been very reluctant to adopt, and now we need to play catch up. So I'm interested, Chase, in kind of what your advice would be if we came to you as a company or a team and said, hey, we have all this great value we think we offer to our organization, but, we're just not interesting. We're failing to capture an audience. How can we catch up on storytelling? Like, what advice would you have for someone that knows that this is important, but they don't know where to start?
Well, it's a great question, and Stephen kind of nodded to it earlier, but I believe you've always got to start with what's your purpose and what's your why. Like, why do you exist? What do you believe, and why do you exist? Right? What do you believe as a company that is important? Okay, we believe in the power of data to inform people and companies for success. Right? We exist to, and in your case, maybe aspirational. Teach people to tell a better story through data. Right? You've got to know that why. That is your guiding force through everything else. From there, it's the how and the what. Okay, how we're unique and differentiated and delivering on that why, and what it is we actually do. Okay, we provide data services, what have you. But if you're looking at it through a story framework, right, and I kind of love this story brand architecture that we use with our clients, it's starting with, who is your character that you're speaking to? Get really clear. Who am I speaking to? Is it a business owner? Is it a marketer? Is it a C-suite? Whomever. And then what is the problem that they are struggling with, right? What is the problem that I am here to try and address and resolve for them? Their external elements, the internal elements, philosophical. What is that challenge and our problem? It's your job as the guide, not the hero in this story, in this journey, but as the guide to help them resolve that. And how are you going about doing that? But if you start to unpack it in these common ways, right? Hey, we get it. Speak to them empathetically. We know that you, X brand, are struggling to make sense of why you are not succeeding, growing, whatever their directive is, right? And we know that's frustrating, and you can be overwhelmed by data, and you feel paralyzed by it, right? We're here to make sense of it and help tell a greater story so that you and your team can feel empowered and not paralyzed, right? So taking them through their own story framework, they are the hero of this journey. You are the guide. You have that superpower to help resolve and transform them from problem to success.